What are the best baits to catch salmon when fishing off of piers? What's up guys, my name is Will Mallon. I'm the owner of First Light Fishing Company. In this video, I'm gonna go over my top 3 to 5 best baits for getting salmon to bite when fishing off of piers. So, salmon, once the fall time comes and the water gets cold enough, the salmon will come in close and stage up outside creeks, rivers, and streams before they go in for their spawning migration. This being said, when you're fishing piers, rock jetties, all that kind of stuff that's near these spots where the fish are going to be going into to spawn, they will stage up and they get pretty aggressive out on the lake, just like near the creeks and mouths of rivers where they're going to go into to spawn. So typically you can start catching salmon in the fall time. Typically early September all the way through to October is a good time to catch salmon off of these rock jetties and piers near the mouths of creeks, rivers, and streams. So there's a couple techniques that you can use to get these salmon to bite when they're staging up. Number one, the most popular one would be casting spoons. Little Cleos, moonshine spoons, Mep cyclones, KO wobblers, pretty much everything that imitates a bait fish and is relatively heavy where you can cast it quite a long ways. So these salmon, when they're getting ready to spawn, they're not eating out of hunger anymore, they're attacking out of aggression. So these bait fish just kind of piss them off and they smack them. So the Little Cleo, Moonshine, KO Wobbler, Mep Cyclone, all these spoons are phenomenal. And pretty much every color, you know, blue and silver, green and silver, orange dots on a glow white, rainbow trout color. You can do the one that's green with black dots on it too. Pretty much any spoon that you can cast far and has decent coloring to look like a bait fish or to get their attention will work. As long as it's, I'd say 3/4 ounce is probably the best size for getting distance but not having too big of a bait where it's kind of intimidating to the fish. I'd say like 3/4 ounce, but anywhere from 1/2 ounce to 1 ounce is fine. People use those red and white Daredevil spoons as well. You might catch pike and muskie as a bycatch too when catching salmon, which is pretty cool. Yeah, number one is casting spoons. Number two, we have crankbaits, particularly the Rapala jointed J13. The J13 is a crankbait that floats, has super strong treble hooks, really elaborate color schemes, and an action that pisses off these salmon. And more importantly, this is a heavy crankbait, one of the heaviest on the market that still floats. This lure is plenty heavy enough to really get out there quite a distance, not as far as a spoon will get you, but still pretty far, plenty far enough to catch these salmon. When that salmon sees a Rapala going crazy or by its face, like it's gonna smack it. Like how could it not? If you do enough casts in a spot where you know there's enough salmon, it's bound to happen. You're bound to connect with one. Crankbaits, you could toss thunder sticks, you could toss Hottentots, flatfish, but none of these are gonna be as heavy as the Rapala J13, J11 as well, but mainly the J13. The J13 is the most popular pier and jetty casting crankbait because of its weight. You know, you can cast it out there farther than any other crankbait. All the crankbaits will work, but the lure you can get the farthest and cover the most water with is the one that you will be most likely to get a bite on. So that's why the Rapala J13 is my choice of crankbait, and that's why crankbaits are number 2 on my list. Number 3, we have spinners. Spinners are more popular in the rivers just because they have more vibration to really piss them off and get their attention, but they work great out on the piers too. The thumping blade gets their attention. You can cast them pretty far. It makes a lot of noise underwater. Great bait. It's not as highly ranked as the spoon just because you can't cast them as far. And with pier fishing, it's volume of casts and water covered are the most important things. That's why a spoon's number 1, because you can cover the most water and get the most casts out with it. You know, you can get in front of more fish, that's why it catches more fish. But spinner number 3, great choice. Some great ones are the Blue Fox spinners and the Mep's Aglia spinners as well. And Mep's makes a few other ones like the Flying Sea. It's kind of a more salmon-oriented spinner. And they do make a extra deep and a long cast version as well that you can really get out quite some distance and run some pretty deep depth with. So that's why spinners are number 3 on my list. And now kind of changing techniques a little bit, float fishing. You know, don't be afraid to float fish off the ends of the piers as well. There was this one guy one time that had a fixed float off of a center pin and a marabou jig below the float. He'd pitch it out off the end of the jetty, not even that far, and the waves kind of going up and down, making that bobber go up and down, the marabou jig would kind of just be flapping below it. And he was catching salmon after salmon, you know, kind of like an old school guy, just using his old school techniques, and they were working. So a float with a marabou jig or a bead or an egg sack or a chunk of skein, if you know there's fish that are moving through that area, that could be a great option to catch these fish. And that's why float fishing is number 4 on my list. And now number 5, this list is not really in a particular order. All these baits will work, just some will excel in certain conditions versus other ones. But number 5 on my list, I have bottom fishing with floating egg sacks. This is a really quite popular method. I don't see it quite as much around where I am. I'm near Oswego. I don't really see this a whole lot like around Rochester or stuff like that, but like other states, it seems to be a lot more popular. Wisconsin, Michigan, places like that where there's piers and chutes and rivers where fish are moving through. But casting out a egg sack with floaters in it, like a literal salmon egg sack, and then Atlas Mikes makes these styrofoam balls that you put in the egg sacks, and you can add anywhere from 1 to 5 or as many as you want, and it'll float it a little bit off the bottom. Do split shots, and then anywhere from 1 to 3 feet, have your hook. So 1 to 3 feet distance between your hook and your split shot. Sometimes your egg sack will kind of hover in place. If you have a lot of styrofoam, it'll float up to wherever you have your weight set. Your weights will be on the bottom, your egg sack will be up here. Just kind of do some on the water tests, see what works with how many floaters and how deep water you're fishing and how high you want it off the bottom. But typically leave it in that 1 to 3 foot bottom of the water column and cast it out. You can cast out a bunch of rods, whatever's legal in your state for rods per person. Cast them out, let them sit, and when these salmon are coming through, kind of hugging the bottom, they're gonna see an egg sack floating. And these salmon are very territorial. They're going into the spawn. Their ultimate goal is to have their babies survive. If they see someone else's babies, someone else's eggs, they're gonna wanna attack it to eradicate it, not eating it out of hunger, but just attacking to kill it, to give their offspring a better chance of survival versus anyone else's. Yeah, toss an egg sack out, let it sit. You'll see them bite it. Be relatively quick with the hook set. Don't wait 10, 20 seconds, they'll drop it. But be pretty quick. You can toss a bunch of rods out. Let's say there's a channel that they're going through. If it's legal, bring more people with you. Toss 5, 6 rods out, and the salmon is bound to see one of them. Set them at different depths, cast them farther or closer away from the jetty or rock wall or pier, and you get a pretty good shot of the salmon coming through and hitting one of those eggs and catching them up. And that's why floating egg sacks are number 5 on my list. That concludes today's video. No real particular order. These baits will excel in different scenarios versus other ones. Spoons seem to be the most popular just because you can get the most casts out and cover the most water, therefore giving you the greatest chance of you catching a fish. But you could toss out a floating egg sack and be casting spoons in the meantime. That way you got kind of two baits going on, doubling your chances of catching fish. If you guys want to catch more fish this upcoming salmon season, I have a curated selection of salmon fishing products on my website, firstlightfishingco.com. We have salmon fishing gear, as well as steelhead and other float fishing gear. We have a good selection of spoons, crankbaits, spinners, rods, reels, and apparel to get you out on the water and help you catch more fish. Also, follow the Instagram and TikTok. I post pretty much every single day on those platforms. I post tips and tricks as well as videos of me out on the water fishing. But that's all I got for today's video. Hope you enjoyed, hope you learned at least something new. Comment down below any questions you have. If you thought the video was great, if you thought it sucked, let me know down below. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you out in the water. Bye guys.